Welcome to the Sugar Show, everybody! You know, he does a fantastic.
With outrageous looks and impressive striking power, Sean O'Malley built a solid fan base fast.
Now moves up to take blows from O'Malley. Oh, that's it! That is it!
He just recently burst into the rankings, but soon will face off against a former champion for the contender status. In this video, we're going to talk about Sugar's career path and show the best finishes of this lanky knockout artist.
He's doing it again, the hesitation.
You know, he does a fantastic.
Sean was born in Helena, the state capital of Montana. The boy had a happy childhood and was almost never spotted in a street fight. When 10-year-old O'Malley first saw his father watch an MMA match, he was shocked.
I thought it was fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do they take those shots to the ribs? I mean, I was like literally disgusted by it.
Sean wasn't particularly into school. What really piqued his curiosity was sport. O'Malley was concentrating on American football, with all seriousness, although couldn't achieve much on the field because of his physique. After turning 15, he'd given up on the idea of becoming a pro NFL player. That's exactly when one phone call changed his life. A friend rang him up and offered to hit the local boxing gym. At the moment, O'Malley knew nothing about martial arts and was eager to try things out. During the first training, Sean realized that he had found his calling. The kid soon took up boxing for real, later adding kickboxing and jiu-jitsu to the list. It was becoming harder and harder to juggle studies and training, so O'Malley decided to drop out of school to focus on fighting.
I did not like going to school. Even my parents dropped me off in kindergarten. I have vivid memories of me just crying, not wanting to go to school, and that never changed.
Shortly after Sugar moved out of his parents' house, the young aspiring fighter took part in amateur events, but didn't make any money off of them. Now, O'Malley had to pay his bills, so he had to find a side job. The 17-year-old kid started looking after people with mental disabilities.
From 6 in the morning till 9 in the morning, I'd go to the group home. There's eight of them. I'd pick them up, help them with their morning chores, drive them to work, drop them off, and then I'd come back from 4 to 8 or something, 5 to 8. And I'd go pick them up, bring them back, and then help them with their night chores. So I was doing that job at the time.
Sean began his professional MMA career when he turned 18. O'Malley got into a regional promotion where he soon became a local star. They nicknamed him Sugar, the curly-haired kid who astonished the audience with his brutal style.
Out right now a little bit, but nice back fist. Roll over there. As long as that. Dennis will stop. That's it.
O'Malley scored 5 victories in just 1 year. However, it was just the beginning of the road in big MMA. After one of the bouts, Sean met another fighter, Tim Welch, who invited him to the prominent MMA Lab gym in Arizona.
The reason I came to Phoenix is because Tim was watching one of my fights in Great Falls. He was commentating because he was already in Bellator at the time. And he was like, hey, if you want to come down to a real gym, I see potential in you, and you could...
Sean knew that if he were to stay in Montana, he had little to no shot at a sizable career, so the offer was accepted. Sean threw all of his stuff into the trunk of an old Nissan and set out on the highway to Phoenix. It wasn't easy for O'Malley to say goodbye to his hometown, but he had a goal in mind: to become a UFC fighter.
And I remember I left 6 a.m., hugged my mom and dad, and everyone was crying. I was crying. I'm like, holy shit, I'm leaving. And I think for the first hour, I was just kind of crying, scared, driving to Phoenix.
Sean was housed at Tim Welch's place, who afterwards became his head coach and best friend. When Sugar set foot into the MMA Lab gym, he already considered himself an accomplished bruiser, but practicing shoulder to shoulder with the best out there humbled the kid's ego. O'Malley realized that if he wanted to get to the top, lots of effort had to be put in.
I think I cried after every single practice, just getting worked by every single fighter at the lab, amateur, pro. I'd go in the back and just cry, what the fuck? This is way different than I thought.
Yeah.
But for some reason I knew I could make this work. I knew I was that good of an athlete, and I knew if I'd set my mind to that, I could do that.
After spending 6 months at MMA Lab, Sean had the opportunity to participate in a prestigious local promotion, LFA. It was the first real test for O'Malley, but it only took him 3 minutes to decide the outcome of the battle.
With that left hand twice. Now Muzo's been dropped 3 times. That is good.
Sugar pulled off one of the most spectacular knockouts of the year, which instantly put UFC matchmaker sights right on him. A month and a half later, 22-year-old Sean got the chance to partake in Dana White's Contender Series.
Tonight,
O'Malley was having a hard time at first.
oh, big knee to the body.
He'll pound you out. He knows that O'Malley's weakness is his wrestling.
He escapes it and throws another few rights.
But he managed to find his rhythm eventually.
Big left from O'Malley.
Yeah.
And right.
So far, so good for Kashakian. He's starting to find a home for some of these punches. Oh!
Big left knee to the head.
At the end of the first round, Sugar rocked his opponent
Up on 2 minutes to go in the first round. Big left!
and mercilessly concluded the fight.
Still blinking, spinning back. Oh,
Big
what a look!
right to take blows from O'Malley.
Oh, that's
and
it!
that is it!
O'Malley!
Welcome to the Sugar Show. This is my show.
Dana White was ecstatic,
Huge right hand brings Dana.
but driftin', liftin', swiftin', coastin', testosterostin',
3-piece dinner with biscuits. O'Malley! 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 O'Malley!
this knockout secured O'Malley's contract with the UFC.
Right on the jaw.
Sean.
A young scrapper with the looks of a schoolboy and one-punch knockout power caught the fans' eye. Back then, Sean was prophesized with a huge career. However, he had to live up to that hype in the debut clash. O'Malley was running up against experienced Petr Yan, who could boast a regional title and more than 20 professional fights.
It is the UFC debut.
From the very first seconds, Sugar tapped into the flow and started entertaining the crowd with his creative technique.
We want to be stuck into it in fighting the full group. Spinning back fist. Oh, nice.
Nevertheless, it didn't stop Ware from stepping it up in the next round and taking the second one under his belt.
He's breaking. There you go. Let's go. Keep him there.
See, he's starting to tire here in the second round.
Big right hand by Ware again. Yep. Ware set.
Sean was tired. Still, he gathered all his strength to carry out a comeback and win the battle.
Spinning back to control the exchanger. Guy, when he's tired, when he's pushed, you want to see him how tough.
And then just lets him get right back up. And
Big body
to
kick.
the body and then to the head.
Kick him down again.
O'Malley with another takedown.
That's how you.
This time, O'Malley left everyone without an exciting finish, but proved he could overcome obstacles and persevere.
Undefeated Sugar, Sean O'Malley.
We're just getting started, baby. We're just getting started.
3 months after this strenuous victory, Sean was presented with a spot in the main card of a numbered UFC event. He was facing Andrei Sukhomtat, who had viciously knocked out O'Malley's teammate from the MMA Lab in the last fight. Immediately after the buzzer, Sugar took control of the center of the cage and started landing strikes.
Because everyone's changing
To the body there by O'Malley. Ooh.
Sukhomtat tried to stand firm, but Sean was a step ahead.
Look at that.
Sukhomtat back to his feet. Wow!
O'Malley's inevitable win was drawing near, but in the third round, he injured his ankle.
Oh, right hand.
Big deep breath from
He
Sukhomtat.
hurt his foot. O'Malley hurt his foot.
Sugar was balancing on one foot with the expression of pain stuck on his face,
It's very possible.
but held out until the end and took the W.
Sukhomtat and Sean O'Malley go the distance.
Look at it now.
After the bell, O'Malley couldn't even get back up on his feet, so Joe Rogan had to do his interview with him on the floor.
Comedian, I love everything about this sport. And I fucking love you, Joe Rogan.
Well, I fucking love you too, buddy.
In the fall of 2018, Sean was preparing for his third fight in the UFC, but it wasn't meant to happen, as they found Osterine, a prohibited substance, in the young man's blood. O'Malley himself was the first to make the announcement about the failed drug test. He clarified that his biosupplements were at fault. USADA took Sugar's statement into consideration and only came up with a 6-month suspension. After the ban had expired, O'Malley wanted to return to the octagon, but the blood test showed Osterine yet again. The experts came to the conclusion that this was only a residual amount from what he had originally been penalized for, so the fighter avoided any further punishment, but his next clash was called off. In the following year, Sean sought a comeback onto the canvas, but without any luck. He suffered from injuries and then the pandemic rolled around. Subsequently, the break extended to 2 years. Nonetheless, O'Malley took advantage of it and worked hard on himself, especially focusing on gaining muscle mass. In his own words, Sugar benefited from the pause. He improved as an MMA fighter, but most importantly, matured mentally.
Mentally, I need to help myself figure out what's going on. So reading, I really started reading a lot of books and understanding certain things. I'm like, this ain't so bad. There's kids that have no water, and I'm sitting in my shower with the hot water turned on for 5 minutes, thinking about how I'm not fighting.
The long-awaited return finally occurred at UFC 248, where Sugar was opposing a Mexican gatekeeper, Jose Quiñones.
Someone like him, we'll see how it plays out this fight.
The buzz around O'Malley waned in the last 2 years, but right in the beginning, he jogged fans' memory.
Front kick to the body.
It is too late.
Right there.
In the first round, Sean dismantled the opponent. Next, dealt with him effortlessly.
Oh, he tagged him with that right hand, just threw him down. High kick.
O'Malley goes high. Now short uppercut, Tecco covers up.
That's
The
it.
Sugar shot. London in color.
It was his first knockout in the Ultimate promotion, which brought a $50,000 Performance of the Night bonus.
I mean, but you see it. You know, you can't.
Congratulations and welcome back.
I freaking love you, Joe Rogan.
I love you too, buddy.
After 3 UFC wins in a row, Sean was put up against the former WEC champion, Eddie Wineland. The Cowboy stash holder was on the final stretch of his career, however, proved to be a tough form of opposition in the previous bout.
Bantamweight division begins here, and now tonight's fight.
A minute and a half were more than enough for O'Malley to read his adversary like a book.
When you're engaging O'Malley, deal with that. That's where O'Malley's
And deliver a final shot.
in and out. He does a fence.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, he slept him bad.
Out of nowhere.
Fake uppercut, cross to the jaw, no follow-up necessary.
Joe, look at the uppercut frame.
Walk-off knockout in the classical traditions of Mark Hunt, plus one of the best stunners of 2020.
He does a fence.
Love you, Joe
I
Rogan.
love you too, brother. Sean O'Malley, ladies and gentlemen.
Reaching the score of 12-0, Sean finally made it to the top 15, where Marlon Vera was standing in his way. The Ecuadorian, nicknamed Cheeto, had been around for 5 years and had a pile of quick finishes.
Kick there from Vera.
It was O'Malley's most rugged competitor, so the league was actively building up the publicity around the confrontation.
Bantamweight division, tonight's fight clock is.
Sugar started off well.
He found that low kick. It's going to help a lot with that low kick right there.
However, in the middle of the first round, Cheeto landed a low kick that screwed up Sean's perineal nerve.
Lower halves, Joe. We do measure leg weight.
Following the injury, O'Malley couldn't keep balance nor remain firmly on his feet.
Well, this is absolutely.
I guess you got to just hope maybe for Sean that it's.
Trying to finish the battle early, he stumbled,
Yeah, we'll hear up. He fell down. We'll hear.
which Cheeto exploited without delay.
Huge elbow from Cheeto.
Nice shot.
Marlon Cheeto Vera stops the Sugar Show in round 1.
Oh my.
Sugar spoiled his flawless record, but didn't consider it to be a loss.
It was I didn't feel like I lost because my skills weren't better than his. I had a great training camp. Everything felt good. Just it happened that way, but I don't feel like I lost. You know, I've gotten a lot for saying that. I'm mentally undefeated or whatever, but
After the UFC 252 flop, Sean took 6 months off to heal and celebrate his child's birth. Sugar's next reappearance ensued at another numbered event, where he was confronted by Thomas Almeida. The Brazilian, who had once held a score of 21-0, was going into the fight with a series of 3 consecutive defeats, and was determined to save his contract with the promotion. Sean took control over the cage and started blasting with kicks.
He's a hard guy to figure out. Like, look at that.
Oh, gotta be sharp and focused. Pretty sharp.
Halfway through the first round, he dropped the Brazilian and walked away to celebrate, yet the referee demanded to continue the bout.
Back up, but for how long? Oh! Another right hand who hesitated briefly a moment ago.
Well, he thought it was, but it's not. Thomas Almeida is still there.
Absolutely right, Joe.
Oh, another head kick.
By the second round, Almeida recovered, but O'Malley was still dominating by quite a large margin.
Beautiful. Constantly changing. That's why a Muay Thai striker like Thomas Almeida.
O'Malley's hands look fast tonight. Like,
he's just a smart guy.
In the final 5 minutes, it was obvious that Sean would win comfortably by unanimous decision. Yet still, he relieved the judges of the hassle.
That front kick up the middle.
Oh, that left man hurt him bad. He's doing it again.
And again, the hesitation. Oh! He gets another highlight for the rear.
A mad performance fetched O'Malley another bonus. Additionally, a renowned trainer, Teddy Atlas, declared that he hadn't seen such a talented and creative striker since the era of Prince Nassim Hamed.
Love you, Joe Rogan.
I love you too, Sean O'Malley.
Sean was going at it again 3 months later. Initially, he was supposed to fight the promotion veteran Louis Smolka. The Hawaiian was injured though. 11 days before the event, he was replaced by debutant Chris Moutinho. Everybody thought it would be a walk in the park for O'Malley. Chris pressed forward at the start of the fight.
Theaters, July 23rd.
Sean wasn't fazed by his opponent's boldness though.
Oh my goodness. The beginning of the end. He's hurt. Yeah, he's hurt bad.
Sugar kept the distance and utilized the full spectrum of his arsenal.
Giving the other corner the finger.
His best strikes tested the durability of Moutinho's chin.
Well, O'Malley's having a little bit of a hard time. Look at that.
For significant strikes, 238 by Nate Diaz. O'Malley trying to chase that down. Huge right.
But it did not stop Moutinho from lurching forward like a zombie.
Oh, Moutinho just landed a big right hand himself.
O'Malley was closing in on Chris, and 30 seconds before the end, he erupted with another series of combinations. This time, the referee had to interfere and prevent Moutinho from facing permanent Parkinson's. Both shared the Fight of the Night bonus. Sugar set the record with the highest number of significant strikes in a bantamweight division fight. Moutinho went from 3,000 to 160,000 followers on social media. O'Malley was so impressed by the scuffle that he even forgot to confess his love to Joe Rogan.
I enjoyed it so much. The only thing that I was kind of thinking about is my hands really were starting to hurt. Like, dude, my knuckles are still bruised. I mean, arguably could have been stopped earlier.
In December of 2021, Sean, while being on good form, took on Raulian Paiva. The Brazilian was riding in on the back of 3 consecutive victories. O'Malley moved around a lot, hypnotizing his adversary with endless tricks.
Tried to fix that.
Paiva tried countering, but Sugar's footwork was flawless.
O'Malley likes that. Ooh, that jab. Oh my goodness.
At the end of the first round, Sean threw a powerful overhand
Lightweight fighters we have seen.
and brought the fight to a close.
Trouble. Oh my goodness. Jason Herzog's taking it very close.
Sugar shot O'Malley in round 1.
He got his 5th UFC knockout and a place in the top 15. In 2022, O'Malley for the first time met with a ranked opponent, Pedro Munoz. The bout featured just several moments, an elegant round 1 ending,
Sort of telegraph that spinning offering.
a couple of Sugar's spinning kicks,
Hand over the top. Oh, just missed it.
and an unintentional eye poke, which resulted in a no contest status for the fight.
Never tell what happens with the eye.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
A no decision.
Even so, Sean has taken the 12th place in the rankings, and soon is about to share the octagon with the former champ and current #1 contender, Petr Yan. If O'Malley manages to pass the Russian striking machine, he could become the next UFC superstar. His looks intrigue the attention, his fighting style is engaging, and his knockouts are plentiful.
I feel like I'd knock them all out, so it's hard to say,
Right.
but I'd knock out Cody for breakfast. I'd probably knock out TJ after that, just for like a little brunch.
Yeah.
Then I'd knock out Dominic, and then I'd knee Henry in the face while he's shooting. And then
midnight
Habib.
meal.
No, fuck that. I wouldn't fight Habib. Fuck that.